This video is going to be kind of a thoughts brainstorming video, just so you guys can see kind of where my perspective is when it comes to Battletech. So first I'll start off with what we got in front of us. We got the Dawn of the Jihad source book, a record sheet book, the latest technical readout, 2 novels, my little marking dice box back there, and then the 3 hex packs that were released. So we'll start off with the source book. This is Dawn of the Jihad. I just finished this book a few days ago. I'm about to start the next one because the Jihad era is very exciting to me. And when it comes to source books, you have source books from the beginning in 3025 all the way up to the current timeline 3145, 3150. You also have the record sheet books here. That is one from the Clan Invasion, and that's right in the middle of the timeline. So you have books to the left, books to the right. And they're really cool because they have all the stock mechs in them, and even come with infantry and vehicles, as well as even a couple advanced rules and other scenarios. But in order to scan them and use them, you would really need to fold the spine of the book up a bit, and I don't want to do that. It's more for a collector type point of view that I get those, because you can get the PDFs online. The PDFs are available at places like DriveThruRPG, and that place is real popular on the Battletech forums. Then you have the technical readouts. They have all the pictures of the battle mechs, vehicles, infantry, aerospace, dropships. They're really cool books. So, if you got any nephews or sons or anything like that, then they'll find an interest in that. My nephew certainly did. And so there's a lot of fiction in there. It talks about the mechs, each one. They put a lot of hard work into making sure that these mechs have, real good, rich fictional backgrounds. Over here we got the Fortress Republic novel from the MechWarrior Dark Age timeline, and then the Battletech Measure of a Hero. That's definitely the older one. And that one's one of my favorite books because it has Archer Christofori in it. I really thought that was a really good character. And next up we have the marking dice, available at pretty much any game store. And then the 3 hex packs. The mountains and canyons and cities and roads ones, those ones are still fairly common. You can give them about $20 a piece. But the lakes and rivers one, that is basically a unicorn. If it ever appears on eBay, it's at least $70. And I managed to land mine through an awesome website called BB Traders. And those guys are great with communication. And they're also the ones that supplied me with these dice right here. They didn't try to gouge me on the price either. They sold them for their actual prices, and they're very cool, very good with communication. I also got a Ghost Bear, Steiner, and Jade Falcon, and Clan Wolf dice. They were very good about not gouging the prices, which was really awesome with them. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more on house rules. So there's 2 house rules that we really use. The first one I'm going to start off with is with the marking dice. Now the marking dice give you a couple of beneficial factors to the game. So first off, if you got 4, 5, 6, up to 8, maybe more players playing a game, and you're waiting for other players to finish moving their mechs, you can already start calculating out your to-hit modifiers. So the guys who are already done moving already have their numbers down, so when they start calling out shots, right away you can just spit out your numbers. I got this is a weapon on 5, this weapon on 6, this weapon on 8, so on and so forth. And the other additional good thing about using them is that other players can add up numbers as well. If everyone is using the same type of pilot, like a 3-4 pilot, then all the other players can add them up, and if someone catches something, they can be like, hold on, are you sure that's the number? And a lot of times you find out it's just because the player forgot the partial cover, or the wood's right in front of their own mech, or something like that. Just something simple. So they just catch the number, they adjust the number, and then they roll the dice for the number. It's all part of having good etiquette. Just accepting sometimes your addition may be off. Yeah, you're only adding numbers between 1 and 6 most of the time, but even tiny numbers like that can throw anyone off. So, next thing we use is edge. We give every mech 1 edge. Now, at first I was kind of like, should we use it, should we not? Then I had a game that showed me that we should use it. So I was playing in a game, and I had 5 mechs on the field. I had a couple assaults, a couple heavies, And so I'm marching up the field. I'm outmaneuvering the other player quite significantly, so I had the upper hand at that point. And then, bam, turn 2, brand new 85-ton assault mech takes a clan PPC headshot. It's actually a Templar. And he just blows the head off. Second turn, an 85-ton assault mech gone. Just gone. I'm like, okay. I still got 4 other mechs. I'm still outmaneuvering him. I should still be able to get him. Another turn goes by. Then turn 4 rolls around. My 70-ton Grizzly is marching through the forest. And then, boom, 15-point headshot right to the cockpit. And took that mech out. So now I'm down an assault and a heavy mech. And the heavy mech was barely even scratched at that point. So at that point in time, I realized that Edge is a good idea. So what Edge is you use it for defensive roles. So let's say you're getting shot at, you take a critical hit, and they make a 12 on the critical hit. It's going to blow your head off. You can say, I edge that, and then they roll again, and if they roll a 5 this time, so then they don't blow your head off. It gives you one chance to keep your mech alive. So it's really good for keeping the 100-ton assault mech from dying in the first 4 turns, and it comes in later when you're trying to do like a saving roll that'll keep your mech alive for one more turn. And it's just really nice having that little help right there when you need it. As I said, it's solely for defensive. You're not going to need to roll a Gauss rifle on a 6, roll 5, and then roll a 5 again. It doesn't. That's not cool. We just use it solely for defensive purposes. And you're also going to have those times where it's just meant for that mech to die. Just the other day we had a headshot rolled up, player used their edge, headshot rolled up again, killed the mech. So there's going to be times where that mech is just meant to die. So you guys have probably seen this tool in one of my videos. The Army Painter laser, that straight edge laser. This thing is absolutely amazing. All of our players love this thing. And it gives you a great reading, so that way there's no question as to what you're shooting through, what hexes you're shooting through. Sometimes you'll be wanting, without that, you'll want to use like the cardboard table sheet that you get in the intro box set. Sometimes you use record sheets. Sometimes you'll have little pieces of plastic, but those wind up bent. So that thing is a really cool tool to have. So the next topic I'm going to talk about is going to be custom mechs. Now, custom mechs. Everyone wants to build their own mech. In MechWarrior 4 you got to do it. In MechWarrior Online you get to do it. In Solaris Skunkworks you can easily do it. And, it's a cool idea and all, but for when I did it, for example, when we first started playing at the local game store like a month after it opened, I had a Marauder IIC that I was using, and I maximized it so I had 3 ERPPCs, and all clan tech, of course. 3 ERPPCs, completely heat efficient. Fired all 3 PPCs every turn. After playing for a while, it wasn't very satisfying to use. Like, it was just, I'll just roll 3 pairs of dice every turn and, deal 45 damage if I'm lucky. And it just wasn't satisfying. So, after a while, back when our group was like real small, there was only like 3 or 4 of us at the time, and we decided to go just use stock mechs. Just stock mechs. And so we stuck with that for a very long time. Just recently, we've started making a move towards slight modifications, such as the Peacekeeper. In most of my videos, I have 95-ton assault mech. It uses TSM. Like, the 2 models that were given in the stock record sheets rely on TSM. Like, the mech overheats terribly. So, like the modification I did, I pulled off the C3 computer, changed the ERPPC to a snub nose PPC, and give it some more heat sinks. So now it can fire 3 of its primary weapons without overheating very much. So when it comes to those, yeah, I would like to see like more variation. Yeah, I know some mechs are supposed to be based around a certain concept, but not everyone's gonna like to use TSM. I don't like having my mechs really overheated and dealing with all of that. But anyway, back to the customizing mechs. You have a problem that arises once people start seeing what kind of gear is out there. You're going to have improved jump jets. Those things are incredible to use. So, for instance, for me, personal story, I was using a Karhu, the Ghost Bear, one of the Ghost Bear mechs, and I put 8 improved jump jets on it, and had an ER large laser and a claw. So imagine a mech. I think it's a 65-ton mech. Haven't used it recently, but think of a 65-ton mech flying through the air, has a 3 modifier for the jump, plus 2 for landing in heavy wood, so you're up to a 5 defensive modifier. That's a little insane. So I mean, let's break it down. Your opponent has a three gunnery pilot. Say they're at medium range. So you're at 3, 4, 5 for medium range, plus 5 for my defensive modifier. That's already up to a 10. So what is the obvious counter to that? Pulse lasers and targeting computers. Oh goodness. So I started using improved jump jets, realizing how good they were, and then everyone started using pulse lasers to take them out. So then I would use pulse lasers in return. They'd be bringing out improved jump jets. It was basically a Gundam fest. You got mechs flying all over the place at incredible speeds. You got pulse lasers flying everywhere. It was just it wasn't Battletech like it was intended. So that's why we went to stock mechs, because there's very few mechs that use improved jump jets, and that's pretty nice. So next up, where to buy. So obviously there's a ton of stuff to buy. You just got to figure out where to buy it. So as far as the actual minis go, you obviously should look at your local store. If they stock them, like I buy my hex bases all the time from my store. They have the lance packs, but not any of the metal ones. So I go online to look for my metal miniatures. There's always ironwomanmetals.com if you want to go through them. I hear they have some good deals on multiple mechs. But there's two online stores through eBay that are fantastic. Fast, free shipping, and their prices are pretty good. The first one is Squeaker's Games. Just look up Squeaker's Games and he should pop up. Great deals on his stuff and very fast shipping. The other one is Square One Gaming. It's Square_1_gaming. And he does pretty much the same thing. Their prices are pretty competitive. One will be cheaper than the other and back and forth. And that's how I've gotten a lot of my miniatures. They are very good shippers and communicators. And for the BB traders, like I said before, they're the ones that got me the dice without price gouging. I think there's still a few pairs left on their website, and they didn't look price gouged last time I saw them. And they also have other, odds and ends. And like I said, they got me this Lakes and Rivers pack. That was a miracle. I did not expect that. But on eBay, if you look up the dice from the convention, you'll see these dice running for as much as $30 for a pair. It's pretty insane. So where to watch Battletech? I really like Battletech. I wish I could get 2 or even 3 games in a week. That would be fantastic to me. I mean, I'm always watching Battletech. Now, my favorite person to watch Battletech from is Anthony Wilson, Ouchie's Bat Reps on YouTube. He's got dozens of them, and it's very fun the way he narrates the whole battle. And there's a lot of stuff in there, a lot of tech, a lot of gear I haven't used, and they're very elaborate maps with 3D terrain, and he does a really good job on those videos. I'm always liking them, I'm always watching them, I'm always hounding him to put more out. Next up, we have Steel Warrior Battletech. That guy's got a couple good videos on there yet. He hasn't done too many yet, but he's got some nice Alpha Strike videos. I'm not a fan of Alpha Strike myself. The idea of measuring because of clicky tech, I'll talk about that later, but it's still neat watching the battles because you can get a lot of mechs on the field. I just don't think it's very much for me because I really like being able to have full control of my mech, like how much heat I'm doing, what weapons I'm firing, who I'm firing them at, being able to split them up and everything like that. And so that's where my heart is definitely in Hex Battletech, but his Alpha Strike videos are pretty neat. Next up, we have Wargamer Fritz. He hasn't posted a Battletech video in a while, but he just has some cool narrative videos, kind of like what I'm doing right now. He just talks about concepts, what's a good light mech, what would he do in a certain force situation. So it's just neat to listen to the videos. I know as far as the Ouchie's Bat Reps go, I'm always watching those things when I'm painting. You know, if I'm painting, I set the whole playlist to run and I just listen to the Battletech in the background. It's just fun to me. So a couple other things that didn't really fit in those categories was Solaris Skunkworks. That website has the program that I use to print my record sheets for the most part if I don't have them in PDF form. I print record sheets up. They have most of the mechs pretty close up until 3145. They have a couple mechs in that area, but it mostly goes up to the jihad. And they allow you to build your mechs. You can input the picture. Like all the record sheets I have in my videos were pretty much printed off from that website's program. And the lament that I show in one of my videos, in the heat video, that battle mech is from a PDF. So you can see there's a slight difference in them. So if you want Solaris Skunkworks, you're going to have to download Java and then go to SolarisSkunkworks.com, and it's works, WERKS, and you download their actual program, and then you download the master unit list, and then you'll be able to bring up all those mechs I had talked about previously, being able to get from them. The other website is going to be bg.battletech.com. That is the full Battletech website. Absolutely everything there. You'll find the master unit list. You'll find camo specs. You'll find the forums. Huge resource with the Battletech stuff. So the last two things I'll talk about are going to be skill levels. A lot of times you've heard me say we have 3-4 pilots, and the reason we do that is it's going to help make shots hit. Even just having 4-5 pilots will extend the game a pretty good amount of time. So if you run with 3-4 pilots, you're going to be getting more shots off, more shots hitting, and basically the game will keep moving at a faster pace. When you have 4-5 mechs, you're going to get in closer combat, but if it's just a melee fest the whole game, then it's not quite as fun. So 3-4 is actually a pretty good range. That's your standard veteran skill level as far as stock Battletech goes, but 3-4 is pretty good. The way we do that, though, is if you print with Solaris Skunkworks, you'll see that there is the actual battle value of the mech at a 4-5 pilot and the 3-4 pilot battle value. I'll show you, for example, in this mech I just printed out. You'll see right here. You're going to see the base battle value. That's the battle value of the 4-5 pilot. The battle value next to it, the 3900.1, that's with a 3-4 pilot. That is the battle value adjustment. Now the way we play is we just use the base battle values and then give them 3-4 pilots. That way you get more mechs in and you have the better pilot to keep the game moving. And finally, the clicky tech, like I had mentioned before with Alpha Strike. I know there's an Alpha Strike with hexes that's been put together, but like I said before, I like being able to control all the aspects of your battle mech, like the heat. So the issue I have with measuring is back when I played MechWarrior Dark Age, like I remember, like even in good fun games, there would still be tense moments where you were just millimeters off, or it was just a slight question if you're clipping a building, and even though you should, good etiquette is, if it looks like it, yeah, go with it. It's not a serious game. You're not playing for prizes, anything like that. It's nothing crazy. But other players would still get pretty tense about it. And so that would lead to awkward situations. With Battletech's hex system, you can't question it. You have your straight edge with the line, with the laser light. You just see where that line goes, and what that line touches is what affects the shot. It's the best system. I have nothing but good things to say about the Battletech system. Especially, it's simultaneous shooting, not gentleman's warfare. That is my favorite part about the system, and why I will always choose Battletech over any other game. So I don't have any battle mechs to kind of pull out of a box and kind of show how I build them. I have roughly 39 painted Iron Mel's mechs right now, and I basically went on a building spree and built like 20 of them just a couple weeks ago. They're pretty much half of them are painted, half of them are primed, and so I'll be working on those tomorrow a little bit. But basically, you purchase them. So you purchase them from your local game store, Iron Metals, eBay, wherever. Then you open the package, You cut off all the sprues, you cut off all the little extra pieces that didn't come off in the mold, and once you've done that, you need to score the joints. So I just take a utility knife. And score the joints with that. It does well enough. It gets some nice grooves in there for the glue to hold on to. After that, I go and I wash the mechs with just your average dish soap and warm the hot water. Wash them all off. Literally, as you wash them off, and you can feel the mold release leave, you can feel an actual difference in the texture of the metals. So after they're all washed off, let them dry. Then I come in, I pose them a little bit, and I just put the pieces together, make sure I like the pose I'm going to put it in. So next up, I glue it. Now, there's some mechs, like the Malice, that has like 3 or 4 pieces to each leg. So those ones you're going to have 3 or 4 fingers in there trying to hold 4 small pieces together in the pose you want, all while trying to make the legs not too far apart so that way the hips can fit in. And it's an interesting experience, especially when you get 2 or 3 of your fingers stuck to the pieces with glue. So you just gotta be careful with that. You gotta be patient with that. Then after you actually get the pieces to hold together, you can reinforce the joints with some extra glue on the outsides. Just use a toothpick to smear it in there. This is the glue I use. This stuff is fantastic. So if you know what the Malice model is, it basically has 4 thin cannons, and they're on the arms, and there's 2 on the top. I dropped that thing from about a foot high with momentum. It slammed into the table, and it didn't even loosen the cannons at all, just with that super glue. No pinning involved. So, and it's a 100-ton assault mech, so it's a pretty hefty piece. So you don't need pins to make your mech stick together. That glue right there, it's a gel, so it's going to stay in place as you put the pieces together. I normally fill up, like if it's a ball and socket joint, I normally fill up the socket, put it in there, then take a toothpick and smooth out the glue around it, and it looks perfectly fine. Next up, I personally like to brush my primer onto my battle mechs. So it takes a little while. It's quite tedious, but I've liked the results. I've tried a spray primer before on a couple test mechs, and it just did not come out nicely to where I wanted it. And then when I started applying paint, it just didn't look the same as the brush-on primer. So I use ReaperMini.com's black primer. Next up, for paints, I'd use Vallejo paints or Reaper Mini paints. They're all very good paints. I like them all. And my brushes, I just get little tiny finer point brushes from my local game store. They also sell them at places like Hobby Lobby. So there's a few options with those. And finally, afterwards, I use some Krylon matte finish sealer. I spray it all down. If I want to put like flocking stuff on it, I'll put that around the base and then let that dry and then seal the whole thing. So I normally spray once front, side, back, side, then top and bottom. Then sometimes I'll go over with a second layer. So it's the mechs seal pretty well. I've only had a flake come off 1 or 2 of them, and that's it. So, and the flakes haven't even gotten any larger. So that setup works pretty well for me. Yeah, I'd just recommend not going with pins. I mean, a lot of I've heard that you need pins, but you don't really need them. As long as you score the joints well enough, that way you have some grooves in there for the glue to hold on to, so that way it's not too flat surfaces. Because if it's too flat surfaces, the glue's not going to hold very well. So you get the grooves in there, and the pieces hold together great. So that's just my current thoughts on Battletech, give you my perspective so you can see where I come from when I am making my videos. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later.